Mark, Mark, what are you doing?
It's here. It's Advent. Christmas time has arrived. I've been waiting so long for this. I'm just going to enjoy Christmas all of it right here, right now. I've opened some presents. I've put my stocking out.
Oh no!
I've finished my Advent calendar. Started on my selection box. I'm loving it.
Mark, I'm sorry to. I think you said Advent. Well, I think you're right. It is Advent, but I think you've missed the point of Advent. Well, you see, Advent is all about waiting. You know, counting the days through your Advent calendar, waiting for Christmas, preparing for that, but also actually remembering that Jesus' birth, which we celebrate at Christmas, is part of a much bigger story. And people have been waiting for hundreds of years for Jesus to be born.
You're right. I had forgotten about that.
Well, I'll tell you what, we've probably got a challenge for our home togethers to do. So while we go to that, perhaps you could remind yourself of the real reason why we celebrate Christmas.
I'll do that. Let's go to the challenge.
For today's challenge, you'll need to look in your pack and find 10 mini glittery pom-poms. The challenge is to throw these pom-poms into a cup or a mug in as little time as possible. Maybe you could find someone else in your house and challenge them to see who can do it quickest. Now over to Josh and Catherine to see how they got on. 3, 2, 1, go!
Well, wow. Hey, that's great fun. People at home, if you have an activity pack, you should find the stuff in there that you need for you to have a go at that yourselves.
Yes. And please do let us know on the Facebook group or on email how you get on with that. Send us a picture or a video if you want to. You know, we love seeing what you've done with Home Together. And here are some pictures that you sent through last time. Here is a picture from Josh and Lily of them playing blindfolded Pictionary. It's tricky.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah, well done. Here is Isabella's tie-dye t-shirt.
Hey, wow, that's come out really well. That's great.
Great one. Yeah. Did you manage to get all the ink out of your fingers?
Oh yeah, it was quite messy, that challenge, wasn't it? Yeah.
And Naomi managed to grow some cress.
Oh, look at that. Oh, that's really good. Yeah, well done, Naomi. Excellent. Yeah.
So do send us your pictures and even videos if you like, and hopefully we'll be able to show some more of them next time we're with you.
Oh, that'd be lovely. And Mark, while we were looking at those, were you able to, or during the challenge, were you able to remind yourself of the real reason why we celebrate Christmas?
Sure, I was.
Well, I think it would be great if we were to tell that story again just now.
Do it.
Mary was excited. She was getting married to Joseph. One day, an angel appeared and said to her, "Mary, don't be afraid. I've got good news for you. You're going to have a baby boy." "But that's not possible," said Mary. "This baby boy," said the angel, "is coming from God. He will be God's own son." The angel also appeared to Joseph and promised him that everything was going to be okay. Mary and Joseph had to travel to Bethlehem. And while they were there, the baby was born. Because there was no guest room available, they had to lay him in an animal feeding trough, a manger. Some shepherds came to see them. They said that they had met angels on the hills while they were watching their sheep, who had told them that an incredibly special baby had been born. In faraway lands, wise men who were watching the skies had seen a new star appeared. They believed this meant that a new king had been born, and they set off, travelling an incredibly long journey. When they eventually arrived, they bowed down and worshipped the child and gave him gifts. But that's not the end of this story, and it's certainly not the beginning. For that, we have to go back to the very beginning of everything. In the beginning, God spoke, and the world began, a good and perfect world. God placed people in the world. He made them to be like him, to live in love with him, with each other, and the world around. But people chose to do things their own way, not God's way. They stopped living in love, and all that is wrong began. God was so sad that he decided to start again, washing the world clean with a flood. But he told Noah and his family to build a huge boat so that they and animals would be saved and be able to restart with him. If you follow Noah's family, you eventually get to a man called Abraham and his wife Sarah. God promised that he and his family would be used to bless the whole world. God would also give them a special land to live in, and their family would grow so big it would be as difficult to count as the stars in the sky and the sand at the sea. This didn't seem possible, as Abraham and his wife Sarah were old and had not been able to have children all their lives. But God had made a promise, and it came to pass. Their family became a huge group of people, a nation, the Israelites. Further down this family line was Joseph. Even though Joseph faced really difficult situations, including being sold as a slave by his brothers, he never stopped serving God. When a famine spread throughout the land, which means there wasn't enough food for anyone to survive, God used Joseph to bring the Israelites to Egypt, where there was plenty of grain to go round. But after they had been there a long time, the Egyptians made the Israelites their slaves. So God raised up another leader, Moses, to rescue his people and lead them out of Egypt to a new land that he had promised to give them. God did many impossible things, or miracles, along the way, and taught the Israelites, through Moses, how to live and to worship him as he had always meant, in love with him, with each other, and with the world. And God kept his promise. The people arrived in their new land. Sadly, even after they came into the promised land, they didn't always manage to live in love with God, each other, and the world. The stubborn Israelites continued to follow other gods and demanded a human king instead of just enjoying God. In his patience, God allowed them to have a king. God allowed them to have many kings. One of those kings was a man by the name of David, who had defeated one of their great enemies, Goliath. David's son Solomon eventually became king, and he built an incredible temple, a huge building, to tell God how great they thought he was. During this time, God sent messages to his people. He didn't send them letters like this. He sent people called prophets to tell them about a person who would come to make things right with God again. The promise spoke of an endless king over all, known as the Son of God. It spoke of a town called Bethlehem and a young unmarried girl. Now, foreign kingdoms would invade and defeat the Israelite nation. They destroyed their city and their temple and took the people away as slaves. Yet many kept hoping for the promised chosen one who would come and rescue them. They still believed that God would keep his promises. In time, the Israelites returned to their land and even rebuilt the walls of their city and the temple, their most important building. Then, silence. For 400 years, God remained quiet. No word, no stories recorded, nothing. The missing years. The silence would be broken by the cry of a tiny baby. The promised one had finally arrived. Jesus the baby grew into Jesus the man. He lived a perfect life and did nothing wrong. He did miracles and showed people how to get back to living in love with God, each other, and the world. Lots of people believed Jesus, but many didn't. They made up lies about him, had him arrested, and put to death on a cross. But on the third day after Jesus died, an incredible thing happened. Jesus came back to life. He had beaten death. He made it possible for people to live in love with God again. But the story does not end there. Jesus' followers and friends shared his message with others and took it all over the world. Since then, hundreds, thousands, millions, even billions of people have followed him and hold on to the hope that God's promises come true and that one day all will be right between him and people.
Well, that is an amazing story. It really is. From the start, well, from the start of absolutely everything right up until now. And amazing that after all that time, God kept his promise.
Absolutely. And even now, followers of Jesus, Christians, still believe that God wants us to live in love with him, each other, and the world around. And we still believe that he does keep his promises. And one day he will make everything right. Well, we hope that you have a wonderful Christmas, even if it's a little bit different this year. And we look forward to joining you just after Christmas for our second December home together.
Yeah, that'd be great. Look forward to that one as well. Yeah.
Hold on for a moment now. Sarah's got a couple of activities to show you that you can have a go at.
Great.
That's
Well,
bye from
goodbye.
us.
Yeah.
Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
So today we've got a few Christmas activities. I can't believe it's nearly Christmas already. We've got a few activities to help you remember the story and reflect on what we've just heard from Mark and Stuart. So first of all, we're going to make a little nativity scene using felt. Okay, so what you should have is your two pieces for your stable, two little people for Mary and Joseph, their faces, a star, little heart and a manger. You'll also have a needle and some thread. You'll need to cut your thread into a workable length, and then what we're going to do is tie a knot in the end of it. You might need a grown-up to help you at this point, and then you are good to start your sewing. So once you've got your knot in your thread, you're going to start with your big piece and your stable edge, and you're just going to put them together, and then you're going to sew up around the edge. You can do 2 lines of stitching if you want to, or I'm just going to do 1 up the middle. Okay, so you've got these 2 pieces together. What you're going to do is take your needle always from the back first, and pierce it through, and then your knot will just come and sit at the back, and just ignore that for now. Then you're going to come back to the front, and you're going to go down through your 2 layers of fabric. Now, some of your needles are a little bit fatter than others, so they might take a bit of wiggling through, or what you might need to do is get your grown-up just to take your needle and pierce some holes in it before you start sewing, so that you've just then got to go through your layers like that. So you might just need to go through 1 layer at a time with your needle from the back up to the front. Pull it all the way through again, and then you're just going to work all the way around to stitch this bit on. Some of you'll have grey stables, some of you have got brown ones, just depending on what felt was in the pile. So when you get to the end of your stitching on the back, try and finish off your last stitch on the back. If you need to just put a tiny one at the end, you can. And then just take your thread, pull it, make sure it's all the way through, and then just tie another knot tight down onto the back of your felt layer, and then you can cut the end of your thread off. Again, you might need a grown-up just to help you with that wee bit there. So then you've got your stable ready for Mary and Joseph and baby Jesus to go inside. Now my stable's a little bit smaller than yours because I've used some of the offcuts, so your people will fit a lot better. We've got Mary and Joseph, and we've got some little faces. Now if you've got a dark thread, what you can do is you can use it just to do a couple of stitches for eyes. My thread's quite pale, so it won't show up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw on a couple of eyes for each of them with a pen. And then you can stitch these if you're feeling really confident, or if not, you can just glue their little faces onto their bodies. If you don't have any glue at home, sneak into your second pack and you'll find a little pot of glue in there, but make sure you keep it for a few weeks' time for the next video. So there's Mary and Joseph. We've then got our manger ready for the baby Jesus. We've got the star that rose up above the stable, and then we've got heart to reflect on why it was that Jesus came and his love for us. So then you've got your stable all full, ready to go. Now you can stitch these on, again if you're feeling quite confident, and you could maybe tie a bit of thread around the top to make a little manger decoration, or what you can do is you can keep these loose, and you can just play with them to retell the story. They'll stick together on the felt background, and you can just move them about wherever you like and retell the Christmas story. So the second activity in your pack will remind us of the journey that Mary and Joseph took to Bethlehem. We don't know that they travelled on a donkey, but people would have used donkeys back then, so we're going to make one anyway. So you've got 3 parts. I've already cut mine out. You'll need to do that. If you don't have scissors at home, please get in touch and we will get a pair of scissors to you. You've got donkey and you've got 2 legs. And then you should have, you might have to dig around in your pack, 2 little split pins in there as well. And all you're going to do is cut them out, work out which is the front leg and which is the back, and you're going to join them together on the little crosses with your split pins. Now the card is quite thick and your split pins are quite blunt, so you might want to pinch your needle that you've just been using for your sewing just to pierce a couple of holes in your donkey. Just make sure your fingers are well out of the way, and if you are a smaller person you might want your grown-up to help you with that. So once you've done that, the split pin goes through the leg and then through here, and then you just open it out on the back. I'm sure you've all done this before. And then we'll put the back leg the same. Pop it in here and then open it out. And you've got a little donkey who can walk along the road. Now my donkey's really boring because I've not got time to decorate, but I'm sure you can colour him in. Your donkey might need a mane and a tail. If you've got something at home, you could use anything at all to stick it on. You might want some of your spare thread. You could make a little tail with that, or you can maybe even use some of your pom-poms from your pack and make a fancy mane. We would love to see your donkeys and your manger decorations all finished up. Remember to join us on the Facebook group, get your grown-up to come and show us what you've been up to, and we will see you again very, very soon.